wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Solitus tuo usuncarum ungularum delectatque contremescit me. Intra, intro.
What's up, Elmers? We're back here. Must be Friday. Must be 13th and Elm.
Let me
Must
check.
Be another
Yep, it's
episode
Friday.
of your favorite horror pod. Yeah. I got Rob. I got Bill. Got a couple kitties in the house.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm one of the kitties.
Meow. Yeah. So we watched a movie, and we're going to talk about it. If you're surprised by that, welcome.
Welcome.
It's your first time listening. So this movie is the 2019 film from Rose Glass in her directorial debut, Saint Maud. It's a British independent psychological horror picked up and eventually produced distributed by A24, which, you know, we love A24 stuff more often than not. You know, they've had a couple misses recently, but I'm not going to get picky because they've probably put out most of my favorite films over the last 5 years.
You're an 824
Yeah,
horror.
that's fair. I think we
sure.
all are. Are you
Yeah.
not?
No, I'm not. That's more of a statement, not like a.
That's why I was
determination.
surprised I haven't heard of this.
I'd heard of it, but I had not watched it. I'm glad you picked
You
it.
didn't watch it?
No, I mean I watched it now, but glad I hadn't seen it before.
Yeah, I was excited that it was one that you wanted to see and one that you'd never heard of, and it was A24 and new, and
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
why
kinda
I was like, how
topical
the
and shit.
fuck has this like slipped under the radar for me?
COVID.
Yeah, it was like in limbo for a long time, production hell. Just like I said last week, fucking came out 2019 officially, but it's also like on all streaming services you will see that it says 2021. It went in and out of the indie circuit, and then its distribution got delayed through COVID and
Yeah, I
whatever,
noticed
but
that.
became widely available in 2021. And this movie, it has mostly, in fact, not even mostly, 100% of everybody affiliated with this outside of the name A24 is brand new to me. Stars Morfydd Clark. I'm going to go with that.
Yep.
And then Jennifer
Works
L.
for me.
Those are like the two main characters. Morfydd Clark plays Maud, or is it Katie?
Katie. Yeah.
There's a lot of ambiguity in this movie. And then there's quite overt narratives as well. But then you got Jennifer L. as Amanda Cole. So Maud plays like a former nurse and then like an in-home, now presently an in-home caregiver.
Caregiver.
And Jennifer L. is Amanda Cole, who was like a former artist, dance choreographer, ballet ballerina. And she has terminal cancer, and she's living in her estate and needs somebody to take care of her. It's kind of like a rotating door of live-in nurses that take care of her. And then most everybody else is touch and go as far as their relevance to the story. You got Esther and Joy and Carol would probably be the three other characters that are even worth mentioning.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it. We're probably not destroy and give away the entire plot. But that being said, it's 84 minutes and it's pretty simple. A lot of what you get out of this movie is the performance and score. It's an A24 movie. It's really probably a better film, spoiler alert, than I'm going to end up rating it.
Yeah. I could say that for myself as well.
We'll see. I don't know how high you rated it, but like, it's a really pretty movie, and there's a lot I like.
It's
And
well acted. There's some
but-
very good
But
performances.
it's pretty derivative of a lot of stuff, if I'm going to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, and I don't think that was an accident.
No, of course
I also
not.
don't think it was. I don't think it made it a worse film. It might have stopped it from being a great film, but I don't think the film necessarily suffers from it. And being that it was only like 84 minutes and we haven't seen a movie like this come out in a while, I think it was fine. I think it was fine enough. It is interesting that it was like written, directed, and mostly starring almost exclusively women, which I did like.
And the two main female roles were both great.
Oh yeah, don't get
Really
me wrong.
good.
Fucking
Morphin
killed
Clark
it.
is amazing in this.
Yeah, she's fucking
Yeah.
great.
And Jennifer L is also great.
Yeah.
Like and playing off each other is also great. Everything is very believable about their relationship and about their personality quirks, if giving it a word. But all I'm saying is, like, I don't know. This is a great movie. I like this movie, but it doesn't seem too new. Like, it feels like there's some twists on some very popular tropes, and there's nothing wrong with that, and it's executed well. But at the end of the day, it's like, I've kind of seen this movie before. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
no,
probably
it is.
a product. Like, sorry to interrupt, but that's probably
fine.
an issue of like us just being at 30 plus, because it's.
Speak
I mean,
for yourself.
It's a movie that it's really hard to do new shit concerning like
Yeah.
Roman Catholicism and like traditional religions and stuff like that. Like, it's pretty old, but also it's like, yeah, we've had some exposure, and I think it's just like one of those generational things that there's a lot of kids out there just getting into horror, and this is pretty approachable for like non-horror fans, I would say. And then I would also say it's pretty fucking terrifying depending on like your level of faith or your relationship with religion. There could be some very, very real, like, not only on the religion aspect, but also like mental health and psychosis and bipolar schizophrenia type of things going on in here. Like, a lot of this horror is real. And if you were 17 years old and you just hadn't seen a lot of that stuff, or maybe you're at that point in your life where you're questioning your relationship with religion, it's like, this movie probably fucking hits hard, much harder than it might have hit me.
Yeah. No,
That's fair.
I'm not going to discount that. I'm going to go off in a minute about all the religion stuff in this, because it is
Can't
interesting, and there's some stuff that took me by surprise. Like, again, like twists on like a popular trope of like, she's trying to save somebody and taking her zealotry, and she's a new convert, which is another weird thing. And I read that in some of the pre-production that Rose Glass had written her as with like a really harsh upbringing and like always being like a hardcore Roman Catholic, which fits the character because she gives that feeling off. And I don't just mean her like temperament, but how she dresses, how she talks, like the words she chooses. To think that she was a quote unquote normal or like agnostic, atheistic sinner, and then adopted this in like a recent conversion is really, it's clashing to me, and it was bothering me.
I kind of disagree. Have you met born again Christians? Man, they go in hard.
They go hard for the zealotry, but I'm just saying it feels like she grew up on a farm or something.
But we don't know that she didn't, to be fair.
We don't.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't really get.
We don't even know her
nothing
name.
about
That's,
her past.
Hold on, because she reverts to what I think is her former self at one point in the movie, which she's like going to the bar and she's got like nice like hip hugger jeans and like a low cut shirt and like makeup and jewelry and like all this stuff that like she didn't just go out and maybe she did go out and all buy all that, but it seems like this was who she was before she converted, because it's a recent conversion. She says that to Amanda, and just everything about her character feels like there was this upbringing stuff that was written into it, and then they cut that, and I'm having trouble squaring those two things.
But because they leave so much of that open-ended, it's like maybe she did come from a really rigid background with a lot of immersion in religion, and then she splintered away and like did her college thing and went out and did single life, and maybe that's who she was for 2021, until her early 30s or whatever, whenever this happened. You assume... the actress herself is like 32 and like 29 around the time of filming. Yeah. You assume the character is somewhere in that same area. Mm-hmm. So you're thinking late 20s conversion. Maybe there was just a lapse of faith. And we don't get... there's so many questions in this movie that aren't answered, which I honestly think is the strength of the movie. And this is another case where I didn't need 30 extra minutes of this movie to flesh that out, because I don't think that I would have gotten any more from it, and I probably would have lost interest at some point, because this is fairly slow. Another movie that's pretty slow.
I agree with that. I think if they, even at 84 minutes, if they added almost any more background of her, it would have dragged too much.
And if they added any more
And,
like gore or anything like that, then it would have been
Better.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
but that's for a specific audience too. That's for us. I
Yeah.
think it also would have been too much in the sense that it was like a lot of what's understated makes Maud a very believable character because she has flashes of like this psychosis, right? That make her like. I feel like we've all, and maybe not down to the T, maybe even like there's holes in her backstory, but like we all kind of have known or ran into people
Someone like this. Absolutely.
She's very believable, not just from a acting delivery standpoint, but from a character writing standpoint. Yes, there's some holes in her backstory, but like if you just fill them in however you want, say she did grow up super religious and this was her background forever, like we all know those people, those self-loathing Catholics who like punish themselves for their sins and live in reclusion and are put on earth to save people and take it too fucking far and they're disillusioned. And like the way that you're introduced to that in this movie is really clever, even if it's not wildly unique or new. But it's like when she first starts talking about when she prays with Amanda and she's like, so do you hear him? And she's like, well, yes, I do. And she's like, you hear his voice? And it's like, how many times have you had that conversation or overheard it or you're aware of it? When it's like, yeah, he talks to me.
The
but
way
like,
she talks about it is great.
and then
like
you
the
realize that
first
she
time
is
she talks about it,
hearing voices.
yeah.
Whether or not she's hearing anything or not.
And like, yeah, the way she talks about like, oh, sometimes I feel him inside me or around me. Like all the ways that she describes that.
Yeah, this is just regular
great.
platitudes that like obsessively religious people use to describe their relationships with the omnipotent. Like, and I'm trying to be not offensive as I can be, but also fuck that shit.
She
Yeah, no, I don't need like 12 to 18 minutes of her getting beat up by her mom as a kid to make the story make sense. That's not what I'm asking. And also, if that
hot.
existed, this movie would be even closer to watching Carrie because it's a lot of Carrie, it's
So-
a lot of Annie Wilkes, it's a lot of Norman Bates, it's a lot of
I thought mostly Carrie, Exorcist were like the two.
yeah. But Misery too, where she's like taking care of and wants to control her, and she's not like trying to harm her physically, but like just
Yeah,
sort
I
of
feel
that
like that's the big difference.
the power imbalance, right? With
Character
like,
inspiration, even
character
if it's not,
inspiration.
like-
it's like a
And-
whole different
and the
kind of
plain-
obsession.
like the plain, dress and but yeah, no, what you're saying, how you know somebody like that person because she is almost like socially inept, where she's like out, she's on another plane when you're talking to her, right? And she's like walking through town and like ignoring people, and like someone from her school shows up and talks to her, and she's just totally deer in headlights and is like doesn't know what to say
She
and
tries to
everything.
avoid it.
And then she gets drunk and is like trying to reconnect and all that. But Katie or Maud or whoever she is, I like this film also because it is a snapshot in Maud's life. It's not you don't get any preamble, and when she says, "Oh, why'd you leave?" "Oh, I just needed to change." She's lying and there's something she's covering up, which you see in the very beginning.
And we never
right?
know what it is, which I like.
Well, you assume she kills her former patient, right? And there's like snap,
Yeah, because
like flashbacks.
yeah,
I
because
don't
when she's
know.
having
Like
sex,
dreams?
it looks
Yep.
like we almost see her trying to save somebody and accidentally killing her.
See, but
and,
that's
like,
the thing is like, did she murder somebody or is she like responsible for their death? Or is it...
It's ambiguous.
And I like that.
There's a
because
lot of
ambiguity.
I do not know if Maud, through her
Katie.
own intentions, is a good or a bad person.
Oh, she's a bad person.
No, she's a piece of shit, psychotic, horrible human. But I don't know if her
I think she's like
intentions
a-
are bad, is
No,
what I'm
her
saying.
intentions are bad. I'll tell you why.
Please do.
Okay, her whole thing about saving somebody and the way she talks to God when she prays to him, not in the one scene with Amanda, but when she's like, it's like overhead, or voiceovers and stuff. She is scolding him, and it's all very self-centered, where she's like, I knew you had me destined for more than just palliative care and wiping asses and taking care of dying people. Like, saving a soul is important. So she's not saving someone's soul to save their soul. She's saving someone's soul because it's like, like an objective or a goal or something that she wants to like make herself feel better. It's all self-centered. Like, she's a piece of shit, even though she's like hallucinating and delusional and possibly schizoaffective and and all that.
I could see that and I could accept that, but I could also reject it on the grounds of like, dude, that holy mission is so much bigger than like this temporary vessel on Earth, and like it's such a, and like I vehemently reject this shit in my regular life, but I'm trying to just apply the lens of like, okay, there are people like this, and it's like an acceptable fucking cop out all the time. Like it's like the one thing that you're allowed to be absolute fucking nutty bin and like talk about it and get away with it and make money off of it and get tax exemptions from it. It's like, it's not her being selfish.
Right.
She's doing the work of the Lord. Well, we're talking to three fucking.
She's self-aware enough, and she's
we're talking about
convert. And
this
stuff,
conversation is happening between three fucking heathens, like proud and out heathens.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, I don't know. I mean, I have strong opinions, and I'm trying to fucking hold them, not necessarily hold them back, but like play through their.
I think she meant well. I'm kind of with you on this. I think she was so
she's
delusional.
Gone. She's gone.
That I think that she thought her intentions were pure at the time, and that she's actually trying to help this woman, even though it might not be for the right reasons.
It's like a cult
and there's
member,
like
dude.
a
Nobody
reason for that
willingly
too. Like
joins
she's
a
fucked
cult.
up.
Nobody gets in thinking that they're gonna do horrible shit, but
You're
by
like,
the
oh
time
yeah, this is
they're
a cult, I'm gonna join.
she's fucking brainwashed because she's damaged, and by the time she comes to God or whatever the fuck it is that leads her to her rebirth faith, she's gone. She's like criminally insane.
I mean, I think she has. Okay, so there's a lot of things. Number one, if you're a recent convert to any religion, Roman Catholicism, whatever, you're not going to be like a little bit about it. You're going to be all about it because it's like a recent conversion. You feel strong conviction for this, right? So you've already got that. People tend to act really holier than thou when they do that sort of thing. So all of that's kind of folded into it. But again, like the way she talks to God about like how like, you know, I can't believe you let me down, and like, you know, like all this stuff. It's very like
But like I think part of the point is that she's not talking to God.
Well, no, she's not, but she thinks she is.
I don't
like. I think everything's a hallucination, and it's not God, right?
Yeah,
but
I don't know if she really believes that she's talking to God. I don't know. Fuck,
but
man,
dude,
I
that's such a
even,
blurry line, even in real
it,
fucking life.
Like,
like when you talk to people like this, like I have a hard time. And maybe it's just like there's a pragmatism occurring in my brain that makes this roadblock. But it's like it's hard for me sometimes to understand if people ever believe that, or if it's always through the guise of metaphor, and if it's always through like, well, yeah, the fucking sun rose today, and like you know what I mean? It's like how many different ways can God talk to you, type of shit. So but she says she hears his fucking voice. Sometimes. But then again, that's a metaphor of like, do you hear his voice when you hear the children singing, or like, what is a miracle?
So it's like
all that bullshit.
You'd have to ask her like, okay, like how he speaks to all of us, or like how he spoke to Moses with like, you're going to write down these commandments, like verbal words. And if you're going to make someone sound really pagan, have them speak Welsh through a modulator. That's going to be like the most pagan deity I can think of. God's Welsh. That's interesting. Or a demon, which I thought the cockroach was like either. I thought the cockroach was like, this is Belial or Beelzebub or like some sort of Prince of Hell sort of thing going on. And her brand of Christianity is very weird. Like I wasn't raised Catholic, but I know enough about it where just the whole like orgasmic stuff, and also like just some of the imagery. Like she gets a book from William Blake from Amanda, right?
Yeah.
And William Blake was a painter and poet and an engraver and all this. And he also had his own like kind of fan fiction Christianity, and he rejected organized religion. And there's a lot of free love worked into it, and he kind of believed that marriage was like institutionalized slavery, sort of like Mary Wollstonecraft. And he was not a libertine, but he was like way more progressive than people at the time, and wrote his like poetry about these characters he wrote into like biblical lore that were like pre-Adam and had like their own names, and there's like Albion and all this crazy shit, which is totally not or is heresy with Roman Catholics. So she's like a new convert, and the way she talks to God is like kind of scolding him, and she's like getting into William Blake, and it just all of it just seems like really syncretic, like paganism, and,
Well, she's
and
like
it's
really
more
lost
ambiguity,
though,
right?
too, right? Like she's really lost, and like she might. I mean, again, it goes back to like where she came from. So like if
Right.
it is a completely brand new faith or like a return to faith, we don't know. But if it's completely brand new, it does seem like she's crazy enough to just be taking it all in, and what sticks. And there might be a lot of this that's not resonating with her. Like she might be completely oblivious to this William Blake shit, but she's interested in it because it's like tertiary to her newfound hobby, lifestyle, faith and shit.
Mysticism.
Right. So like, and we don't get super into that. I mean, she's gifted a
No.
book and she thumbs through it and
Cuts
like,
pieces out
Maybe
of
she
it.
cuts it out
Yeah.
and hangs it
and
up.
puts
but
it
yeah.
on her shrine thing that has talks to her in
So
Welsh.
she might. It's okay. So aside from the obvious cult that she's a part of, it feels so much like she's a part of a cult, but she's like the only member. There's like no guiding hand. Or there's
I
no.
thought she was gonna become like and like lead the Amanda and like her friends into some like hereditary style. That's what I was
I
expecting.
think that
That'd have been
she
cool.
kind of thinks that she is, and maybe she does in her reality in the end, because
Right.
like you see the difference
That's
between
true.
her perception
In
of
the
what
bed
happens and what actually
Yeah.
occurs.
Yeah.
Which, so, man, as I'm talking about this movie, and you say this all the time, but like I'm starting to like it more and more as I'm talking about it, and I kind of went back and forth on it when I finished it. I was like, ugh. And like I'm not gonna lie, part of that was like, fuck, Bill's gonna not like this movie, and I was like, well, actually, maybe he will like parts of this movie, and like I said, the horror aspect of this is like super real, and I could see how this would be like a very, very difficult movie for a certain demographic to watch. But I
Yeah.
could also, like, I have a lot of people in my circle that are maybe not super into horror, and I could definitely watch this as like a psychological drama with them, and they would enjoy it immensely because it is well shot, it's well acted, it's well edited, and all these things, and it's not gory, it's not over the top or any of that shit.
And it's slow.
It is.
It is pretty
for 84
slow.
minutes. It's pretty slow. I'd say the first half of the movie before she gets thrown out of Amanda's house is slow, and not in a like I'm not dinging it for that, but it develops slowly, and you need that. You need to like get who Maud is and all her worldview, and as it degrades, as she's like recriminated and like losing her faith and all that, like it's important. But man, oof.
I kind of wish it happened slightly more quick, but because I mean I have a note that's saying like the first part I was really entertained is 75 minutes in, and it's an 84-minute movie.
I would recommend this to people who like The Witch or The Lighthouse, because it's again like it's a psychological drama and it is horror, but it's a slow paced film, and it's more of about the singular character, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with that, but like, God, like I don't think The Witch like drags or
The Witch
goes
is the
on
better
for
movie,
like
I think,
a
but-
second.
Yeah.
Yeah,
mean,
but
it's
that's just you're
just
more invested.
something
It
about
is
the
fucking
build-up.
slow.
Yeah,
The Witch does not
And
come
that's
out guns a
just-
blazing or
Yeah.
deliver
no,
anything.
not at all. And I mean, that's his personal like preference of like what kind of build up or whatever the build up is. Like in The Witch, it's like everybody slowly turning against each other, which I think is like more captivating to.
Well, I think there's also fascinating components of The Witch just in
In
the
a
fact that it's a
period
period
piece.
piece because
Yeah.
you're
Right.
like appreciating the work that goes into create this world and that script versus this is very contemporary. This is
Yeah.
happening today. So I don't know. I do think there is a lot to compare between the two, but they're also wildly different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it is contemporary, but Maud's outfit and her dress looks like something out of the 70s, right?
Fuck,
like her colors
30s even it could be.
And,
you know what I mean?
And Amanda's
Yeah,
house
it's
is
like
all like
those
kind
dresses.
of Art Deco and like kind of Victorian in places. And she has because she has cancer, her hair's gone, so she's got the wraps. So she looks even more like the aged, gilded screen film star who's like clinging to her fame and is like trying to
She's
hold on
so
to it.
good in this.
And she's
good.
great, but I love that sort of motif or I guess the theme of that of her dress and like her whole house and everything.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of talked about the characters, which is what this movie is about. Let's chop up a little bit of the plot
actual
without
plot?
getting too into it. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's like a pretty classic plot, as in it's a younger person taking care of an older person, and like shit goes wrong slowly, and it's like a refreshing take on that because usually it's like the older like sick person that ends up being like possessed or something and is like the antagonist of the film, and in this it's not. It's
Or even
the
like just
younger,
manipulative.
like the caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's why I think it was refreshing like in that aspect. But I mean the relationship between Maud and Amanda was so good, and even just like I really liked this was pretty early on, and when she's like switching shifts or whatever with the other nurse, and she goes like, "Oh, how she's doing," and she just says, "Oh, she's a bit of a cunt," and that's all she says, and just leaves.
Yeah, she's clocked out and her shift is done. She's gone.
Yeah. But
I
then
think
like
it's Maud's
they
first
like
day,
get
right?
yeah.
Yes.
But then they start getting along, even though like Maud does not hold back on like the religious shit at all. Like their first conversation is like about that, and they have them praying, and how Amanda starts calling her savior, and like when she gives the William Blake book, it says like to Maud, my savior, with like the angel wings things on the side of it.
Well, it's very condescending.
Yeah, but I feel like you are not sure of that yet.
And you're positive that Maud's not sure of it.
Yes.
Yeah. And when you are sure of it is the party.
Yes.
Which,
And-
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was saying like the first, so Maud is like just, the most, I mean, this is not right, but you know what I mean? Like she's like the most perfect, like pure, like by the book,
Docile,
super pious.
Obedient.
And the first time we see that totally switch is with Carol, which is one of like these side characters, but he's like a younger, probably like a dancer that might have been a student of Amanda's at something.
Yeah.
It's not really like explained, but there's a significant age gap, and she's coming over. The first time she comes over, it's late, and she's like, oh, she's sleeping, and she's pretty much like, she's expecting me, like, get out of my way.
Get out of my way.
And like it's obvious that they're having sex, and that she might be getting paid for it.
I
'cause she
wasn't sure if she was a prostitute or not. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know if she was a or if it was just like
Sugar
literally just
mama.
like an old like
Yeah.
a sugar
Yeah.
mama kind of thing. But like Modest is like this like perfect Jesus freak, and she's talking to Carol in the kitchen about how she can't come back anymore, saying like this is a really important part of Amanda's life. She needs to get better.
This is a
And-
distraction. It's detrimental to her health
Amanda
and
has
recovery.
stage
Yeah.
4 lymphoma, right? At this point, she's
Yeah.
like lost all her hair. She's like got
Yeah.
She's in
left.
radiation.
Yeah,
She's
chemo,
dying.
Yeah.
And Carol says something like, oh, like, well, if it's because you're against like two women being together, you can just say that.
Just because I have a
And-
vagina.
And she says,
I don't care if you have an 8-inch cock.
yeah, like even if you had an 8-inch cock, I'd be saying the same thing. And that's like the first time you're like, whoa.
Okay, and
like,
we watch some fucked up shit, right?
Yeah.
Like, but in a
Oh, yeah.
vacuum, this is shocking. Like, yes, it's not. If I
Shocking.
saw it on the fucking internet or wherever else, like, I would not be shocked by it. You're gonna hear worse shit on this pod tonight. But from Maud, that deep in the movie, knowing what you know and having the relationship that you have with her, it is abrasive and abrupt. Like,
Yeah, it was-
startling. Like, I literally rewound it.
I was like,
I was
oh,
like,
shit.
yo, did she just say? Because she does.
I
She
think I
has an
rewound it
accent
too
and
to
she-
make sure I get the.
By the way,
quote,
why
like,
does
perfect.
everybody in Coney Island have a fucking English
okay,
accent?
it's not Coney Island. It's Scarborough. I looked this up, but like for whatever reason, there's like a Coney Island sign there
Okay.
in town. They're
I was
they're,
wondering
like,
if they
the
were
UK.
in New York.
No,
'cause
they're
it-
in the UK.
Because they never say that also. But, I
They
mean,
don't.
it is also a British movie, and it was released first in England to an English
Yeah.
audience, and every actor is in it. It's English.
Sometimes Amanda sounds kind of British too. Occasionally, like there's
Mhm.
some lines that I'm like, oh, okay, your accent's bleeding and stuff, but I don't know if the actress is American or British or what. But yeah, the Coney Island sign was distracting. I was like, what are they doing?
It wasn't like
Why-
a one-time thing.
No, there's a lot of scenes in front of it.
And they're like on a fucking boardwalk. I guess I
Yeah.
didn't see like a theme park or anything, but like if she was slurping
didn't have
down
these
corn
huge
dogs
hot
and on a
dogs.
fucking
It's like,
Ferris
it's like a
wheel,
fish
then-
and chip shop.
Yeah.
It's chippy.
Or Nathan's stand.
Nathan's, yeah. Nathan's famous fish and chips. Fish and chips.
But yeah, that was startling. And then what's that? 35, 40 minutes in, maybe.
At least
Wait, what?
the
8-inch
the
cock.
8-inch
Oh,
cock.
yeah. That's like 30 minutes in, 35.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's the first like, like time she kind of like flips her switch and you kind of like, oh shit,
There's some
like
dark.
she might be
But
in
we've
danger.
already had her talking about how she talks to God. We've already had her talking with Amanda about blah blah blah. And that's one thing I really loved about Amanda's character is her whole like, oh blah 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 blah. I don't want to give away too much, but you'll know what I'm talking about. When later she says like, do you know how lonely it is to be dying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're like, oh fuck.
Fuck.
That's not only is that pretty shitty, but like Maud's not gonna be able to handle that. Like you're fucking with Maud's psyche hard right now, and like there's gonna be consequences, whether it's for you or just for herself. Like that was crushing to her, and we see that because I think it's right after that she goes and has her little like.
So when she like gets real close and whispers,
I know. I think that's well.
is that later?
Yeah, I think that's a little later.
When she's like, yeah, you're not alone. You have me. Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
All the shit about the afterlife.
Yeah,
Oh, that was easy.
yeah, that was funny.
No, I mean, a lot of this comes down to just the character, Maud's character, despite having worked in like hospice care for, I guess, a year-ish or something. It's hard to tell when she's talking to Joy how long she was in nursing. But she's pretty naive, and she's not worked as a private carer. And Amanda was like a dancer and, lived a full life and is, at least now dying is like a hedonist, is like all about like enjoying it while she's still got the time to do
Yeah,
it.
she's hosting
that
parties.
banging
She's
ass
drinking.
party.
She's
She's getting fucked up.
fucking
Putting
Carol
on
is
wigs
a-
and fucking.
getting
Carol's
drunk,
hot.
getting drunk as
attractive young
fuck.
Yeah.
smoking. How many
Smoking.
fucking cigarettes did she smoke in that first scene?
Literally like getting
Oof.
like putting them out and like lighting another one. Like I wanted to smoke watching this movie.
You could
I
tell that
was smoking while watching this
Were
movie.
you? Yeah.
they established early on that like Amanda's lived a full and fruitful, eventful life, and she's okay, even if it's like difficult. Like she's gonna die soon, and she's not changing. She's
Yeah.
living it up, like you said. She's hedonistic in
Just
every
have fun,
aspect.
be comfortable. Last couple of weeks, months, whatever you got.
Yeah, she's fucking ripping darts and eating snatch and having fucking parties all hours of the night and rekindling old flings, and she's basically just ordering around all these little handmaids to fucking wheel her here, wash me there. Like
Yeah.
she's
Or
Honestly,
just,
sounds
have
great.
a spontaneous orgasm on the couch together.
Yeah,
that was divine intervention, wasn't it?
I think so. Well, it was intervention.
they were all pretty sexual all the time.
Oh, very much so.
God enters her or whatever.
Yeah.
But I liked it.
You liked it? Yeah. And that's
I mean, it
that's-
was like an interesting take on it.
No, I liked it, and like again, she's Joan of Arc, she's Sissy Spacek, she's all these characters, right? And I like that idea of it, and I like that a lot of this again, like it's all like almost an entire female cast. But if God was like speaking to you in that sort of way, like it's impossible to ignore. And how would you not think that was, divine or spiritual or, whatever the cause is, whether it is that or it's brain chemistry or whatever. Like
the whole
that's
movie is kind of presented
that's
that
gonna
way,
speak to
though,
you.
right? Because like there's multiple instances in this film, and I think by the end you get it. But there's multiple instances in this film where you're like, okay, along the journey you're like, wait, is this happening?
Mhm.
Or is she fucking crazy and imagining that this is happening? And like I
Right.
said, I think you get the answer near the end.
Yes.
But before you get to that point, it is a little up in limbo.
It's ambiguous.
And you're just like, because you want to know, like, is this going to, like, where are we going with this? And
Right.
I think ultimately it leads itself to a very realistic horror movie. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is, like, I don't know, depending on your relationship with faith or what you believe in, it's pretty clear that this shit not only can happen, but
Does happen.
especially before, like, antiseptics and the internet, this shit was happening all the time.
Oh, speaking of antiseptics, Bill, how did you like that scab picking scene?
Oh, it was fine. I didn't think
Yeah.
it was too bad.
Okay.
I mean, I like any body horror. I was definitely excited when I saw it because I just kind of assumed it was like gonna spread and get worse because that's
Okay.
usually how
Corruption,
body horror
yeah.
works. But yeah, we had that one scene of the cut on the hand, and I mean that's like some of the most of the gore that was in the film.
I really, really liked when she was, like, repenting for her night out with the tax.
Oh yeah.
That
That
was
was cool.
badass.
So
That was cool when
there's
the
a lot of,
pictures
like-
of Mary Magdalene where she put the
Yep.
little spikes
The
through and
needles
put them in
through
her
it.
Converse,
Yeah.
and just
is
was walking around.
squelchy
Oh,
shoed.
you could hear. You know, I love a good squelch. That's
I
up there
know
with
you do.
like horror squelch is up there with horror wet mouth.
But
Yeah, the
it's-
sound editing was great.
She's going full like Da Vinci Code, self-flagellation. Like the very first one is she opens up a thing of popcorn kernels and puts them on the ground to kneel down on top of to pray, which
pray.
is very painful. And then you get she burns her hand for trying to go behind the back of Amanda, and then she does put the needles in her shoes as well, which is fucked.
And she jerks that dude off.
Oh, so and again, man,
She does jerk that dude
I don't
off.
know why we haven't talked about this yet.
There's,
Oh, I got a whole page
God
set
is,
aside.
God is
Oh, okay.
Welsh. There's a hand job in this movie. Like, there's a
sexy.
self-immolation in this movie. Like, there's a lot going on. And I think that is who she was before her conversion. And so I
Yeah.
think all of this pure and docile and, like, all this is a facade that she's, like, putting up.
Yeah, I mean, even when
It's
she
just as real as anything else. It's definitely overcompensated, but like she's in it,
yeah.
right? Like, do you not think that
I think that she's
struggling with her identity? No doubt.
No. I think that she's like she believes it. It's not, but again, like I feel like all of this it's selfish. She's doing this to like get something out of it. Like she wants to be holy or heroic or like
Yeah, 'cause
it's selfish.
She'll pray and keep on saying things like I did what you told me to. Like I did
Maybe you're
what
not
I'm
so
supposed
powerful.
to do.
Maybe you can't help me. All this shit.
Yeah.
Like, again, I think she's a piece of shit, and
mean-
and she deserved to burn alive.
Well,
Skip to the end. If you had taken that scene out, this whole movie could have been ambiguous. It could have been supernatural, but I feel like
Yeah.
that flash at the end seals it, right?
Yeah,
And
I think I agree with that.
and I needed that. If it ended without that flash, I would have been annoyed, I think.
But there was also part of me, like, at the end, like, right away where I was like, oh, fuck. Like, is this what we're doing? And then, boom, and I was like, oh, shit. Roll credits.
Roll
and
credits.
I loved that, actually. I
Yeah.
really liked the ending of this movie.
I like a quick, violent ending.
I did like all the people falling to their knees on the beach. That was a pretty cool. And the wings, I like that.
The first time I saw the wings,
stupid.
I laughed and hated it.
Yep.
And
But
I was
then you get
glad
the
that
reality check.
it was like, yeah, okay, that's not fucking real.
I would have
Thank
preferred
goodness,
the
but like
the
just
halo.
honestly, yeah, the full CGI wings, whatever, was goofy.
Yeah, no, it
It
looked
didn't
like,
look horrible. It was just...
It looked
You thought so?
really goofy.
Yeah, I thought it looked like something
looked
out of.
really
I think it looked
fucking
goofy because
stupid.
of what it was.
It looked
I don't
like
think
Ready
the
Player
CGI was, like, horrible.
Uh,
Well, I mean, yeah, the effects weren't bad, but it was
Right. We fucking just watched
What
like
they were
Blade
doing
and
was
Ghosts
bad.
of Mars and shit. Like, I've seen really bad special effects, and if it was on screen more, or if it was
Yeah.
in action, or like she was flying, then like I could probably agree.
she
It
floats.
looked goofy because we've lived in such a literal and realistic world, with the exception of a couple things. And I feel like my reaction to that was, oh, so it's all like it is fucking like mythical and fucking crazy, supernatural.
Yeah.
But then it's very clearly and abruptly not. And so I think that dampens the goofiness of it almost instantly, and it also ends on a real fucking bummer, which I like.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it wasn't a bummer for me because this crazy bitch fucking burned alive, and
Yeah,
that's
don't
great.
give me a happy ending in a horror movie.
You've specifically solicited happy endings from me at horror movies. When we went and saw Candyman,
Yeah, but that's like
and you cut a
not
hole in
when
the
we're-
popcorn
not when
bag?
we're in the theater. The bag? You get a bag of popcorn?
Yeah, bag of popcorn.
what the fuck do you get popcorn in?
A bucket?
You go big boy.
Big
Yeah,
boy.
I get a big bucket.
Big boy, or go home.
Yeah.
Big boy or go home.
Make sure when you put that butter in, you just put it all on the bottom before you put the popcorn in. I want like a couple inches of
couple
butter.
inches.
It's. I mean,
You
let's
gotta
be
layer
real.
it.
It's butter flavored coconut oil, but yeah.
That's even better. It's even better. Do you like diacetyl?
Love it.
Good. Me too.
Yeah. It's a good flavor. Not in beer though.
Did you guys like all the
Jelly bellies?
the liquid shots in this film?
Liquid shots. But I'm only thinking of the hand job scene.
No. Okay, so there's
Oh, like
like
the sink and all that shit?
there's the sink. There's the all the beer glasses spinning into funnels.
Oh yeah.
There's-
Oh,
Like
yeah, the
the
fucking
Wow.
funnel shit was weird.
There's also the
Yeah.
very beginning of this movie is her heating up tomato soup and it's bubbling like blood or like a cauldron.
yeah, and I
like-
forgot about the bar scene with the tornadoes and the beer.
which I liked.
Yeah, it was cool.
But yeah, also her just like being at the bar and like making eyes, like well, not making eyes, staring this dude down.
He's like,
and then like
A hand job.
I guess they go like to the other side of the room. Is that a different room?
I don't
Are
know.
they in the
It's
bar
like not a
openly?
bathroom, but they're
And
inside.
she's jerking him hard.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a
Yeah.
lot of time.
She does
She
not.
doesn't want to
she's-
get caught.
She's trying to sin as much as possible that night, so she's got to like crank and bank, you know,
And that guy is
crank bank that spank.
and that guy is like
Is that a Soulja Boy song?
embarrassed.
It could be.
That guy shoots and leaves.
He's like, dude.
He goes and
I
gets his
regret this
buddy. He's like,
immediately.
we gotta get
She's
the
crazy.
fuck
Let's get
outta
the fuck
here."
out of here.
Shit was hot.
She progresses to get extremely drunk.
And then she fucks that other guy, which we get a little more on her backstory because after it, he's like, I
I know
remember
you.
you.
I remember
like,
you.
I've seen you. And this is when she has the flashback is when she's having sex with this guy. Is
Yeah.
when you see what looks like her giving someone CPR, but her hands pretty much like
Crushed through
burst
the
the
chest.
chest.
It's like
Yeah.
she's spatchcocking a large fowl.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It looks like something out
And
of
like
a thing.
she like freaks out and like wants to stop,
Jumps
and
off
like
of him.
he like rapes her.
Yeah, because he's like 250 pounds and she's
Yeah, he's
like
a big boy,
110.
and yeah,
And he just kind of rolls over on her and is like, nope, I'm going to finish.
and then is like, I know you. You used to hang out. I think my buddy Jake
buddy
went to
got
town
you,
with you,
yeah.
or some
And
shit.
She leaves.
Yeah.
Goes back to her very sad studio apartment and kind of recriminates God some more. And then Joy shows up, her schoolmate or nursemate from her previous
Yeah,
job.
she runs in on the street.
And she comes by during the day on her way to work and is just like, hey, because they have a phone call while she's drunk at the party or at the bar before she goes home with that guy.
And you don't really know what she says, but she doesn't come. Like when they run into when they run
What are you talking about, Bill?
No, when they run into each other on the street, Joy gives her a number and says, "Hey, if you want to like ever talk
have a
or have a
drink."
drink," and then she calls and is like, "Hey, I want to know if you like want to have that drink," and she declines, but we don't really know why because we don't
Yeah, we
hear
do.
that.
Yeah,
We don't hear her side of the conversation.
Maud says, I don't know why you gave me your number. I always thought you didn't like me very much. And then you don't hear her, and then Maud is like, no, that's not like that. And then she's like apologizing for basically calling her out for being like, you don't like me. Why do you want to be my friend, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then that's when
You still don't know though, and then she comes over there like however long after. She's like, "Oh, I was all pissed, like she was knackered and couldn't get herself out of the house that night. Like
Yeah.
it's
I thought that was more of an excuse to be like, hey, don't worry about it. I couldn't make it out, but I'm here now. Like, how are you doing? Like, more of a wellness check.
Yeah.
And then Maud says, or Katie, because that's who Joy. That's what Joy's
Katie
calling her.
is apparently who she was.
And
Well, we don't
before-
get that,
before
which I
killing
love.
somebody or something. She says, fuck, I lost my place. Katie or Maud says the fucking biggest red flag you could ever fucking say, which is I've been transformed, which means you're gonna murder somebody or yourself in like 24 hours. Like that is some red dragon, red flag
I think
nonsense, crazy people talk. And when someone says that to you, you call the police or get them committed or something.
Yeah, you're going to have a really hard time doing either of those things. But you can try.
Walk into Maud's apartment.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to have a warrant or something. But
That's
just
fair.
knock. She's lonely, I guess. She might
Yeah.
open up and let you in, especially if you said, I want to talk to you about the Lord.
Do you think she still had those Tic Tacs, those Tac Mary Magdalene things stuck on her feet when Joy showed up?
Oh, she's like barefoot. She's like not wearing pants.
Yeah, but she could still have
Yeah,
like
she
those
did
back in her
undies.
feet, right?
I don't think
I doubt
she
it.
did.
No.
Like she was like in the shower and shit prior to that.
Yeah, because I think we see her bandage her feet up actually
Okay.
at one point.
That's fair.
And then she goes back to Amanda's after her hiatus.
Yeah, she
kind of
gets
just
a bed sheet
what's the fucking show? She puts on a sheet.
and
some
her
chains.
rosary.
Well, she fucking
She's Marley.
She fucking commits a murder.
She does.
She does.
A brutal ass murder.
Yeah, this was probably
Minute
the
75?
best part of the film. This was minute 75 of the 84 minutes. And yeah, this is when she goes back to Amanda, and Amanda's looking worse.
So,
And
looking like a fucking snack to me. Like an air dried snack. She looked like jerky. Pepper.
and this is like
premature
when
baby
Maud is like keeps anointing her or
with
whatever
like
the fucking you call it with acetone.
Yeah,
and
she's doing the
like,
symbol of the cross on her forehead to like try and bless her.
yeah, and
I
Amanda's
think
like, get
her
the
goal.
fuck
I think that
out
she
of
wanted
here.
to pour that shit down her throat, though, right?
I thought she was gonna try to inject it instead of chemo.
Right. I thought. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that was intended to be the murder weapon.
I don't know.
Yeah, because she made a
fills
point of a
fucking
whole water bottle.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's going around doing the whole like whatever Elijah thing, blessing people, and who knows.
Elijah Wood's out there blessing
Elijah
people.
Wood is blessing people.
That's hot.
But then the murder weapon changes when Maud gets really upset when Amanda, even though she's like fucking dying, she's pretty much like, God's not real. You fucking
Don't you
idiot.
know that?
Like stop talking about it. It's annoying. And boom, grabs that Paris or
Well, she sees
She-
Amanda become the devil and
demon
like
thing.
freaks the fuck out and throws her across the room.
yeah.
and
There's a
shit.
few jump scares in this. And this is one
And
of them.
they're good,
Amanda's
though. I think they're
talking
well done
normally,
jump
and then
scares.
Yeah.
and
You
then
buy
like
'em.
her
Mm-hmm.
one of those, mouth opening to inhuman proportions.
Right, and like filed teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
And,
shit's so hot.
and she grabs a
extra
pair
for
of
that.
scissors and fucking just goes at it.
Yeah, she says something like, if God's so great, how come His love's not enough for you? And you need me or whatever. And
Yeah.
there's some deep cuts.
Yeah, mostly in
literally.
Amanda's neck.
Mostly from
Literally.
and she stabs her like 14 times and then leaves
And
covered in
leaves.
blood, and kind of washes it on her face and stuff,
Yeah, that's when she looks
Hot.
best.
and then
Was
gets
pretty
a
hot.
2.5 gallon jug of acetone and walks to the beach.
Yeah, and this is when we get the dumb fucking wing part in her apartment.
That's true. She does get her
Her angel wings
her power
for killing
up,
somebody.
Her Super Mario Brothers power up wings, and and there's also another scene earlier when she's floating that I don't think we touched on. Maybe we did, but there's
Is that when
I-
she's
I
fucking homeboy?
I briefly mentioned it. No, it's
no, she's alone in her
when-
apartment.
No, she is in her apartment.
I'm.
But these are all the
trying-
supernatural things that are quick, and you really don't know if they're supposed to be happening.
you don't see the other side of it basically.
Right.
But yeah, and then she walks to the beach in the robe made of bed sheets, and her rosary still got blood on her hands, and and eventually like
Looking very pious, very saintly,
very
minus
saintly,
the blood, I
minus
guess.
the blood,
but
yeah.
but like you can tell what she's going for.
And it's like
Yeah.
morning. It's like 8 a.m. or something, right? Like the sun's like kind of it's come up, but it's not overhead yet. And she covers herself in acetone in front of a crowd of people,
Who are starting to
freaking the
give
fuck out.
her the
Gathering.
attention. Like, yo, what the fuck? Stop her.
and then lights herself on fire. And you see people like bowing before her, and the wings and light and halo.
She's floating in the air
And then a
and
split second of her like burning alive.
screaming.
A second of reality.
Again, more Joan of Arc, right? You know, burned at the stake sort of thing. So
Yeah, I mean, she
She
martyrs
was burned
herself.
at the stake?
Joan of Arc, yeah,
I didn't know that.
she was martyred.
She like
She was also like a
I thought she was-
14-year-old girl.
Yeah, I know she was very
Yeah.
young.
she's a badass.
Yeah,
She's
She
like
was
a
badass.
cleric.
yeah. I mean, literally, she was a warrior for God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I based
That's
like
not
my
badass.
D&D character kind of
If
like
you-
inspired by
You
Joan
are
of
not
Arc a
allowed to
little bit.
play 14-year-old girls at my table. You can play grown
Why?
women. 'Cause it's weird.
Why?
No kids.
That's fucking stupid because I can play like a 140-year-old fucking dwarf. Why can't I play like a 17 or 14-year-old like lesser race that doesn't have a lifespan? Like, what if I'm fucking playing like as an Aorca? They only live to like 30 years old. They reach adulthood by the time they're like 8.
It's relative.
It is relative. That's why I'm asking. Why can't I do that?
Can't play a child of any. I don't want that.
Oh, well, not a child, but like a 14-year-old.
That's a child.
Not an Aorca.
I mean, a human.
Yeah, my character right now is not a 14-year-old girl. She's just inspired.
do that.
Don't fucking tell me what I can do. Are you the
That's literally
DM?
my job, yeah.
Well, this just puts a real stinker on the situation, doesn't it?
We're gonna cut all this out, right?
No, I think hey guys, Elmers, if you want to play D&D with us, hit us up on the Patreon. Every Thursday we'll be playing D&D with anybody who donates. What? Put it $100. You play $100, you play D&D with us on Twitch.
Yep.
I'll honor that.
Michael will honor that. I will not, but he will.
You won't?
I won't. Thursdays, I'm busy.
I know you,
Usually-
and I know you're not.
I
You're
usually wait till 10 p.m. and I watch a movie.
Yeah, the movie you were supposed to watch with the pod, and then you failed to do that, and you watch it during 3 segments over the course of your workday.
Did you do that again?
No, I watched
okay.
this all in one sitting on Wednesday.
I watched this like 4 hours ago.
Really?
I forgot to watch it last night.
Which is hilarious because you
recriminated this
said,
earlier.
I'm going to watch this tonight.
Yeah, that was the plan.
That was the plan.
And
That
then
was the plan.
like 8 beers and 10 games of Valorant later, I'm like, it's fucking 1 a.m. I guess I'm watching it tomorrow.
Is Joan of Arc in Valorant or no?
No.
No, she's not.
They don't allow
No.
French characters.
Is Joan of Arc
There
in,
actually is a French character.
is Joan of Arc in Twice?
No.
No, she's not.
No.
She's not. Okay. Well,
Riveting.
Now that's cleared up.
this movie, I mean,
It was kind of boring.
it was. I think it was like retroactively less boring. Like at the end, like at the end, I was like, "Oh, that wasn't as boring as the 84 minutes leading up to it." You know, like
Well,
It's like going through like an art exhibit and then getting
the
yelled
last.
at.
I thought you were gonna say like getting through an art exhibit and then right when you're done, you light yourself on fire.
Yes, and then you light yourself on fire in protest.
would you ever light yourself on fire?
Yes.
Fuck yeah, that's hot. Get it?
Get it? Got it. Good.
I don't know. I feel like we've covered this movie. If it sounded interesting, give it a shot because it's
Definitely interesting.
not a bad movie.
No, not
Not
at
at all.
I mean, yeah, beautifully shot, acted. I mean, it's A24. We know the cinematography, the score, and lack of score. You know, I love that. Like lots of just, deadpan silence during scenes with like just.
I loved when the music
increases
cut in that last
tension.
scene and you hear her fucking burning and
Scream,
screaming. Like
yeah.
that shit was great.
Teapot
But give me that
coming to
for
boil.
like 10 to 20 minutes of just her burning to death on the beach.
That's a
and
lot.
I'm bumping this up.
Just watch Mandy.
Dude, that scene is long.
Fuck,
man.
that is a
intense.
solid
She
burning
is
scene.
writhing and thrashing around in
In
that
that
sleeping
sleeping
bag,
bag.
until she's not.
Until she's
Oh, yeah.
corpse.
Like,
Until she's
Anyway, back to the movie. What did you think of it?
you know, I'm glad I watched it, and I'm glad I watched it for the pod, and I think I've maximized my enjoyment of the movie just sitting here and talking with you guys about it. It is one that I would recommend. it might even be one that I found myself not turning off if I were in front of it again. But I don't know if I would go out of my way to see it again, and it certainly wouldn't be anytime soon. And like I said, it's probably a better film than I'm going to rate it from a technical standpoint. I mean, it's really well done and arguably pretty powerful, but it definitely isn't going to top the charts for me. It wasn't anything that I was overly invested in. And even though the end brought some sort of redemption that made me go, yeah, that was pretty badass, it also kind of lessens any future viewings I could see myself being subjected to, because it's like, well, I already know the characters and I know the outcome, and the journey really is most of this movie. Because the destination isn't great and there's not a lot on screen. Slow burn. Like, I don't know. I was honestly thinking I was just going to jump in the ratings if you guys are good with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it like a 74, 70, or 73. I'm going to give it 73. It was good. It was a really well-made movie, and I recommend that if you're interested in it, you watch it because you probably like it. But for me, the biggest deficit it has was like my personal enjoyment. If I would have even cared a little bit more about these characters, which I don't know why I didn't because they were well acted, but if I had just anything more to sink my teeth into, it would have been firmly in the B camp, in the 80s plus, but 73.
Yeah, that's pretty close. I gave it a 70. Pretty much for the same reason. It's a slow burn, and that's the type of film that it is. It's just, prefer some slow burns over other ones, and this was one that I wasn't crazy into until the end. I did like how it ended, and I mean, we pretty much touched on everything. There is like some holes, and would some more background story have helped or not helped? We don't know, but like
Personal
you said,
taste,
it's very well acted and beautifully shot, and for a first feature-length film from Rose Glass,
I would definitely watch more shit from her.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like definitely a name to keep on the radar. Definitely be interested in anything else that she does, but 70.
Yeah, no, I'm right in line with you guys. Yeah, gave it a 75. I think this is a good movie. I don't think it has a lot of rewatchability.
It really doesn't.
Yeah, I don't really see myself watching this
It's
again.
one and done. This kind of reminds me again, not that other movies are, I like Hereditary a lot more, but like it reminds me a lot of Hereditary. It is made by A24, and it also feels like an A24 movie, if that makes sense. Right? It's like slow and pacing. It's beautifully shot. It's like, dark colors. It feels like a lot of the movie takes place like in the dark and like low lit rooms and stuff. And just Morfydd Clark's amazing in it.
Oh,
Watch it alone for
great.
that.
Yeah.
Watch it alone for that. Because I guess she's been in Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which I never saw.
I haven't seen that.
And something else that she was, I think got her start in, like maybe a TV show or something. But her and Jennifer L. are great. And it's an interesting flick, and it doesn't go where you think it's going to go. And there's a lot of ambiguity, a lot of ambiguous stuff. But yeah, great for showing from Rose Glass. I think she wrote the screenplay too. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I'm excited to see what else she does.
Yeah, I would definitely check her out. And, I love women in horror, honestly, like behind the camera and
In front of it.
Sure. Shout out B Cramp if you're listening. Fuck, I love you so much.
Same.
Florence Pugh. I haven't heard back from you, actually. Strangely.
Weird.
Check your DMs.
Yeah, there's a lot. But, I don't know. I love that I can get excited about another young female screenwriter, director who is full in on horror shit. You know what I mean? Like right now we have a lot of great female contributors to horror. Nia DaCosta made, in my opinion, the best horror movie of 2021, Candyman. That shit was great. Love the Soska sisters.
Yep.
And so put Rose Glass right there up on the list and I'll watch the next thing she comes out with for
I
sure.
will too.
She did not disappoint me with this. Like
No.
I said, flavor wise, I could have gotten a little bit more from my personal preference, but great film. Great film from a technical standpoint and overall entertaining for me.
Agreed.
Right on. Well, this is the part of the show. I'm hosting, so that means at the end, Rob tells us what vampire movie we're watching next week.
Oh, it's the vampire segment.
It's not a vampire movie this time around.
This is 13th Elm pod. You're not doing the Kung Fu pod right now.
It's not the Kung Fu pod.
Gasp.
No. So I just got a cat, and I was looking at cat horror movies.
my God.
Cat in the Brain.
Cat in the Brain. No. This is
Pet Cemetery, also directed by a woman.
surprisingly enough, there were like 3 or 4 Stephen King options in this list.
We already did Sleepwalkers.
I know, and that's excluding Sleepwalkers.
Cat's Eye,
Cat's Eye,
Pet Cemetery.
Pet Cemetery.
Cats in the Cradle with the Silver Spoon.
Is
Nope.
this a Stephen King?
No, it's not Stephen King actually.
What year?
82.
Catwoman.
It's a remake from a 40s movie,
Oh God.
a classic.
Yes, Cat People.
Yes, 1982 Cat People.
Sick.
Have you
I've
guys-
not seen either, and
Okay.
it's been high on the list. I really want to watch the 40s one, as you know. I might have to do that beforehand.
I considered it, but honestly, I didn't know this until I started reading about this movie. David Bowie wrote a song for this film, which is a banger, called "Putting Out the Fire with Gasoline," and it's so good.
that swayed you, like
That
we're watching
was
this movie
like,
because
oh,
David
fuck,
Bowie's
Bowie
original
wrote it,
tra-
and it's a banger. But it's got a bunch of big names in it. Malcolm McDowell is in this.
Love Malcolm McDowell.
Ed Begley
He's
Jr.
great.
is in this. Who else? John Hurd is in this.
Who do I know him
But
from?
it's a sexy movie from what I've heard.
Okay.
So
I mean, it's got cat people in it. How is it not going to be sexy?
how's it not gonna be sexy?
Cat people are super fucking sexy.
It's a little long. It's almost 2 hours, but more to talk about, more to love.
158.
And
watching some
we'll
short
watch
ones.
watch Cat People next week.
I'm excited
Cool.
for that. The 42 version is an absolute classic. Like, it's always featured on like the 100 best or whatever, and
Yeah.
it's one that I've been meaning to watch for a long time, and I haven't gotten to it, and I've never seen this one either. So I'm pretty blind as far as the story on this.
I'm so blind.
I
Dude,
almost
Annette
picked.
I have no
O'Toole.
fucking idea.
I
what
almost
this
picked an
is about.
Argento movie actually called
Cat in the Brain.
Cat in the Brain.
The Black Cat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because Cat in the Brain might be full.
I don't think it's Fulci. I think it might be Bava. Let's
Sure it's
look
not
it up.
Charlie Day.
I've seen it. He's in it. Whoever directed it is the main character,
That's
It is
obnoxious.
and he's not great
Imagine that.
as an actor.
He's
Fulci
a bad
puts
director.
Fulci. No, Fulci is the best of the giallo, like best Italian horror director for my money. Zombie 2
Yeah, Zombie,
and
it's
From
just-
Beyond,
You're from
or
Beyond's
The
good.
Beyond,
The
not
Beyond.
From Beyond. Sorry, The Beyond.
Okay.
From Beyond is great too.
Yes.
So
Dude,
yeah, Elmers, thank you all so much.
Thank you guys.
I'll say. Also, Black Cat was Fulci, but I'll say thank you to the Elmers tonight.
Let us know what you want us to watch in the comments. What do
Yeah.
you want us to watch and review?
We'll watch whatever. If you Venmo us each $100, we'll watch whatever.
I mean, I'm mostly saying this because I know no one's going to actually suggest something. So it's probably safe to
It's a
say.
safe. It's safe to throw out there.
Put something in the comments.
Andrew will probably ask us to watch like fucking The Invitation or something, which is also directed by a female. The same woman who directed Bill's favorite 2000s horror movie starring Amanda Seyfried and what's
Megan
her name?
Fox.
Megan Fox. How do I always say Amanda Seyfried and what's her name?
What's her name?
It's like I always forget Megan Fox. We've talked too much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Pull up with us, watch 2 films. Come on, watch 2 films. If you scared, don't